Good morning. I'm Dr. Ernie Bowling, Editor Emeritus of Optometry Times Magazine, and today I'm joined by a dear friend, Dr. Chad Overman. Dr. Overman has worn many hats in his 25-year optometric career. He started out as an optometric physician for the first 12 years in Nebraska and later in Wyoming, and then an opportunity arose for him to broaden his horizons, his scope of influence, and he took a role with Walmart corporate to help shape the future of optometry. And at that time, I'm in 3,200 locations, 4,000 ODs, and a $2 billion business, and did a great job at that. I remember talking about Chad before I ever knew him about what a great job he was doing with this job with Walmart. But Chad took those 9 years of wonderful experience with Walmart and expanded his scope of influence yet again to become a leading consultant in our industry for the past, 4.5 years. Having extensive experience with multiple modalities of OD practice, from corporate to private practice, and working closely with many of the optometry schools and industry partners, Dr. Chad has gained a tremendous reputation. Someone who's been seen almost all there is in our profession and has found a way to keep the well-being of our profession at the forefront of all of it. And we all owe you a tremendous debt of gratitude for that, Chad. So thank you for that.
Thanks for having me, Ernie. You're too kind.
Every word. I've also had a chance to work with Chad on our journal a little while back, and really got to know him well then, and love to pick his brain about a lot of matters in optometry. We're going to jump into some of those this morning. I'm going to give Chad a few minutes here to talk about his background, tell us a little bit about yourself and about what you do and that kind of thing, and then we'll talk about a few issues.
Thanks, I appreciate it. You covered my Walmart days. A lot of people know me from that. Did some exciting things, and you touched on really what my overall plan in life has been. I can make a difference in each stop that I take, and I want to make a bigger difference each time. So, I started out with one practice, moved to multiple practices. Then, as you said, I went to corporate. Learned an incredible amount of experiences there. I always joke I don't have an MBA, but I've got a Walmart MBA. You sit down on enough of those meetings, you tend to learn a few things. And then after doing that, I thought I could do even more. So I've joined the consulting world. As you said, it's been about 4.5, coming up on 5 years since I left Walmart, and a whole new world opened up. Was really cool. That I spent a lot of time with dry eye. I wanted to learn more than what I'd done previously. So I spent a lot of time with dry eye. Then I switched to retina. Did a lot with Maculogics and their Adapt DX on macular degeneration. Thought that was incredible. It's a great device. And, I guess as I look back at that, Ernie, technology has been very much an influence in my life. And my overall goal, it sounds a little corny, but you know me, I sound corny once in a while.
Never.
I want to leave optometry better than I found it. And that has always been a passion of mine. Children are a huge passion of mine. Diabetics are a huge passion of mine. I try and make my passions drive what I do, but keeping the optometrist at the key role. A lot of right now technology is very much at the forefront with COVID, and what are we doing with that? It's really, to me, taking telehealth, teleoptometry, however you want to define it. It's pushed it so fast. I've been working on telehealth for the last couple of years, and again, that's the technology part of things that's driven me. But I've just seen so much interest, obviously, over the last couple of months, that a lot of people are willing to have those conversations. But I keep going back to optometry has to win. Optometrists have to be on the front line of this. if we put our heads in the sand and aren't at the table to make decisions, we're going to get run over, because ophthalmology will take it, and I don't want optometry and optometrists to lose. So that's been a focus of mine quite a bit. So yeah, it's one of those things, Ernie. If you stay with your passions, it's not like you're working.
Nope.
And I absolutely love that. And so it's fun to talk to our colleagues. It's fun to educate. Much like yourself. That's why I've loved to work with you in the past, and really cool to be able to talk to you this way when we're in two completely different states.
That's exactly right. I tell a lot of my friends that I kid Chad all the time. We're twin sons from different mothers with our haircuts and everything. So uh, uh, the passion is the key. I've always felt that way. I've always told my kids, if you find something you're passionate about and do it, you'll never work a day in your life. And having spent 10 years in the coal mines before I started doing this, I haven't worked a day since I've been out of the mines. I absolutely love what I do. So it's very rewarding, great career, and a lot of new technology. Like you said, I know you're at the forefront of that, and I really want to take some time. Let's talk about. I know that you're do a lot of consulting with some companies. One of the biggest ones I think right now is the 2020 Now. So let's let you kind of jump on that and talk about that a little bit, and how you see that going, and what you see your role and our role in optometry and telehealth going forward.
Sure. Like I said, I really about 2 years ago started down. I knew telehealth was coming. I can backtrack. 6 years ago, I tried to do some telehealth type of things when I was at Walmart in that particular role, and it we piloted it, but it never really got off the ground. But it's very similar to like what IDX is doing right now. That was my goal and my thought process. How do we give quality, accessible, and affordable eye exams? And my goal the last couple of years has been, how do I get people off their couch to have an eye exam, yearly eye exam? Dentists got it made. They've figured it out. They've
Yeah.
they have educated patients. I don't think as optometrists we have done our due diligence to get to that level. And that's what, we know. I don't think any optometrist is going to argue with you that we would like people to have yearly eye exams. Well, they're sitting on that couch at home, not
doing that.
getting up. They're not motivated. They're not educated on why they need to have an eye exam. So that's where I started a couple of years ago looking into telehealth. And how do we educate people? How do we get to them? Now, 2 years ago, if you recall, it was a really dirty subject to talk about online, because it was all about online refraction.
Yes.
Now, Ernie, you and I have talked about this. I am against online refractions. That is not what we're talking about. So I always have to, start with that. That's not what I'm all about. I want full comprehensive eye exam, and I want the quality. So you mentioned 2020. I did my due diligence, and I looked into different companies, and I chose them because if you get a chance to see what they're doing things right, in my opinion. It's they're actually their goal is to provide a better in-person eye exam, you know, through their technology than you or I could do if we were right in front of the patient. It's a lofty goal. We can do an awful lot. So I joined them, and a lot of my initial was the clinical perspective of what equipment do we need, what tests do we need to do, how can we do those. Again, I always shoot for, in my mind, a better, um, more technological exam. A lot of our colleagues don't have the ability to do fundus photos. They're not there's a lot of things that technology can actually do better. You know, I'm working with some companies that do pupil testing. Well, they can do better pupil testing than the human eye can do. So if I continue to add that type of technology to the exam, I feel I'll get a better exam. We can actually make it faster also. So if we can improve the quality, we can make it accessible, and then keep the cost down, I think everybody wins. So that's been my focus. They've got an incredible platform that it's in a brick and mortar. So I'm not getting to the patient that's sitting on their couch. That's not what I'm doing with this particular platform. We need to drive them into a location, but there's so many locations that don't have a doctor.
Yes.
I know from my Walmart days, trying to find a doctor for some locations, it's just impossible. And so when you're talking a lot of rural locations, I think there's not access. When I practiced, I had patients coming from an hour and a half away because I was the closest one. So we really need to improve access. I don't have all the data right at my fingertips, but I know we're in a drought as far as the need in a lot of locations. So I live in Iowa right now, Ernie, and there's some counties that do not have an optometrist. So what do those people do? So I'm going into a lot of locations. Say I can go into that county, I can find the county seat or somewhere, and I can put in a full lane and do a full comprehensive eye exam and have the doctor sitting somewhere else. They're going to be licensed in that state, but they don't have to be sitting in the state. So a lot of regulations have changed even in the last 6 months. I've been talking to a lot of optometric boards, and um, there's a lot of regulation or deregulation actually in this area. And I argue for that because if we overregulate the space, I think we're leaving it open to ophthalmology. And that's where optometry is going to lose. So again, I don't want online refractions. I want to drive patients to have eye exams. And the more they can have eye exams, the better. The only thing that this platform doesn't do is dilation. So, we need optometrists, and I want to drive people from these locations to you as an optometrist. So if there's an issue, it's amazing the amount of pathology that we're seeing, right? Because we're taking fundus photos, wide field fundus photos on everyone, running it through an AI program, and it's incredible the information that we get. And so we're able to then send this to the who we're referring to as an optometrist and give you that quick of a head start on what am I looking at. We're improving the quality of care for patients. We're getting them in the system because we know there's so many people that don't have an eye exam for whatever reason. And if I can get access to locations where they're not currently, I can drive more eye exams. I can find those early diabetics, early glaucoma, macular degeneration, take your pick. But we got to get them, in. And so let's just use Walmart as an example. If Walmart didn't have a doctor, they couldn't find a doctor for a location, and there's many of them that haven't had doctors for years, but there's patients there. And a lot of those patients aren't going elsewhere. So if we can drive them into the healthcare system by having a comprehensive eye exam there, and then maybe you're a private practitioner, down the road that wasn't seeing that person, but now you get to see them because they have a health issue, then you get to impress upon them the need for in-person care because you're going to follow up that person and take care of them. So not only do we get more people in, we get them in more often. I think we're going to help all of optometry as we drive this. So it's very exciting. Now, fast forward to COVID times, what that's driven is, how do I still see my patients when I can't go into the office? And that's what's driven to seeing them on the couch. Now, 2020 is also working on a way to do that. That's not really their focus, because there's quite a few others that do it also. But we need to be able to do that too. So that's telehealth on a whole nother level that we didn't know we needed until this pandemic. But our patients need to be seen. We need in-home care. So I think we're just touching the surface on ocular telehealth, and it's very exciting. I talk to our colleagues pretty much on a daily basis. There's somebody that reaches out to me that wants more information, um, and I like that. They're trying to get educated. They know there's something going on out there. I'd rather be the one to educate them, so I feel they're getting the true education. So, any of your listeners, of course, here, they can figure out how to get me. My name's all over the place. I'm happy to talk to them.
I know you are. I was thinking about what you're saying about using it in corporate in the dark stores. I also know that they're thinking about using it in some of their really big operations as well, so that they can expand the hours, because a doctor can't work 10, 12 hours a day. So,
Right.
So they're looking to have a telehealth lane in adjunct to a full-time doctor, so that they can provide care for patients in high volume stores too. So that's, there's so many avenues for this technology to go. Do
Very true.
you, increased hours, more locations, talk a little bit about the hub and spoke model of that. I know you and I did an article several months back, but talk a little bit about the hub and spoke model of the telehealth.
Yeah, so we're getting doctors wanting to do all kinds of different things. I talk to doctors. I do a lot of consulting for their private practice, and I go in, I look at it, and a lot of these doctors think that it's a good thing to have a 6-week backlog, of patients. It's not a good thing. You
No,
know, up to a couple of weeks, I can see that. But I've got doctors that actually brag about having 6 weeks. Now, it may work in some locations, but overall, people don't want to wait that long.
no.
They'll wait a little while, but they this is a we want it now
Yes, this is
society.
the McDonald economy. I want it now. I want
Yeah.
it.
So they're going to leave you eventually and go to a competitor if they can't get in. Now, especially if it's something a little more emergent, not that you would consider emergent, but they consider emergent. Now we can't see you, for 6 weeks. So the hub and spoke model has come up. We've got doctors that are super busy in one location. So they'll do a couple of different things. They'll open up another lane and let teleoptometry run it. So there's multiple ways you can do this. You can have 2020 now doctors do the readings. You can have your doctors do the readings, because some practices have 5 doctors and maybe one's a junior that isn't busy or something like that. So I'm not telling doctors I want you to work more, but you can increase the access of your own practice by nights, weekends. By golly, doctors want to go on vacation and should, but the practice still needs to keep running. So you can plug in teleoptometry for all of those times and actually increase your practice, the times that you're doing it. So that's one way. The other that's been very popular is the hub and spoke that you mentioned. So a doctor will have their main location, but there's so many places that are maybe a half an hour away, 40 minutes away, something like that, that the doctor is going out to and opening up a clinic in those locations. So that's increasing access huge, you don't know where those patients are going. Are you getting them? Is someone else, an hour the other direction getting them? So it increases your footprint. So you can go out, you can be the middle spoke of that and draw patients into your private practice. What works even better is by doing that, you're going to identify all of the medical issues. And then if your main practice is close enough, if it's a half an hour or so, you refer to yourself. So you're increasing, so the quality goes up, you're increasing the care, the accessibility goes up. So, everybody's winning in this scenario, and that gets really exciting for me. There's upfront costs to do that, but the business model, you can go in and punch in the numbers and see what you have to do. But we're really seeing major success, both financially for the doctors, and again, obviously the patients win too. So, you know, just about any scenario that a doctor's been able to come up with, we've found a way. We meaning 2020. They, I, I'll take credit, but they're doing the work. But they find a way. They're extremely flexible and find a way to make it happen for the doctor. As long as you have internet capabilities. I mean, obviously we're all digital here, so we need the internet. But anymore, that's not much of an issue, and there's ways around that too. So it's really been exciting, Ernie. You take some of these doctors that have had one practice but are just bursting at the seams. I've seen them, expand out, open multiple practices, be extremely successful. And again, you're not the one having to do all the work all the time. The work smarter, not harder part certainly comes up to me here, and it's been exciting to be a part of. And my future role with 2020 is to continue that. How do I use new instrumentation to drive a better exam, make it faster? Of course, I spend a lot of time on 2020's behalf talking to colleagues. Why some of them, I can't believe the number that actually want to be the reading doctors right now. The quality of life, if you want to be at home for a couple of days and not go into the office, but see patients from home, I certainly get that as well. So that's exciting. It's opening up a lot of options for optometry, and I think we're able to educate the patients more. You know, I don't know how much longer I'll be on this earth, but I would love to be able to see a large percentage of people have yearly eye exams. And again, I'm going to keep that as my focus. And as long as I do that and I keep optometrists at the forefront, I think we're all going to win.
What barriers do you see, Chad, to this? Obviously you're very much in tune to this. You're very excited about it. Your passion shows, but what barriers do you see professionally to optometric telehealth?
Well, I'm fairly blunt for the most part, Ernie, and I think it's our own selves getting out of the way, and it's education for optometrists. I've had dozens of optometrists to the office in New York to do demos personally for them, and I tell them going in, I said, rip it apart. I want you to, tell me all the things that you dislike about it, so that I can go make and fix that and make it better, right? So that's my goal. They don't come out with very much to say negatively. They, once they see it, and I was having breakfast. Well, actually, you were at that breakfast when I think about it. We were sitting there with a few of our colleagues, maybe three others, I think it was, at Vision Expo. And we were talking about it. It made me laugh because optometrists all think we do the best refraction. We're better than anybody else out there because, it's my craft. I've honed it. I do a really good job, you know. Okay. Well, I had each one of those other doctors go through a demo and watch the certified ophthalmic technician that 2020 has do the refraction. I said, "What'd you think?" And to a person, I got, yeah, they're probably at least as good as I am. You know, we don't want to admit maybe someone's better than us, but at least as good as me tells me that they didn't have a problem with that refraction. And you know, as I've watched a lot of these technicians do the refractions, they are way more thorough on balancing and you know everything than a lot of optometrists are. Um, so I think we need to educate optometrists because too many are still stuck in that online refraction discussion. That's not what we're talking about. Um, Maybe technology will get good enough at some point that it can do that, which means if it can do that in 4 or 5 years, we have that amount of time to educate our patients why they need optometrists, why they need us more than they need that, because some will go do that. It's just it's going to be driven by consumers
Sure.
and it'll happen. But we need to educate in the meantime those patients of why they need us, and we need to do it as a collective group. We're very fragmented right now on this topic in optometry. I love everything that the AOA does. They do great. There's lots of state legislatures, associations that are doing incredible things. But when I go to an optometric board meeting or optometric association meeting, I get a little bit of everything on that board as far as what they've been educated on. And so we need all of us to actually reach out and educate ourselves. And then those boards we sit on, those associations we sit on, we need to have an open mind. Is everything perfect? No. Can it be better? Yes. And that's what we need to be all pulling in the same direction so that we're making the technology better for our patients, better for optometry. And I don't see that happening right now. It's getting better, but I think we can move that forward even faster. You know, there's all kinds of different groups that are looking at telemedicine, and most of them are not looking at regulating more. They're looking at, you know, how do we make this better, but hey, we still want to take care of our patients. So that's where I love to be the one to educate people. You know me, I'll give you my opinion at no problem whatsoever. Um,
At no
but
at no cost and straight up. Always like that. Yeah.
well, yeah, I mean, I'll give you the truth, and you may not always like the truth or what I'm telling you, but it is true because I've done a lot of research. You know, we talked about I've got my hands in an awful lot of different parts of optometry. I do that to stay educated myself and to make educated opinions. It's not just some guy sitting here in Iowa coming up with something. There's a reason, and I'll walk you through my reasoning. And if you don't agree, that's fine. You know, we can agree to disagree. But I'm also very willing to listen to other people's opinions and take those into account because I don't have all the answers. There's an awful lot of smart people out there, much smarter than I am, that I want to hear those opinions as well because, you know, they may have an opinion that changes my opinion at some point. But to go back to your question, I think it's optometry that's the largest barrier to optometry using telehealth.
Fair enough. And with that, we will cease. I appreciate your time. I said your passion for this subject comes across. Everybody, if you don't have a way to reach out, don't know how to get a hold of Chad, get a hold of me, and I'll put you in touch with Chad because I got him on speed dial. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate all you do for our profession, Chad. I really do. And thank you for on behalf of Optometry, thank you for being my friend. I appreciate it more than you know.
Thank you. Appreciate all that you do as well.
And we'll talk again soon. So have a great day.
All right. You take care.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye, Ernie.
Bye.